Internet of Things makes our cars driverless, our homes connected, our cities smart, and factories run seamlessly. Artificial intelligence combined with IoT data is where the business value is created. Imagine yourself in the driverless world. I will teach you to pivot your career and innovate in your business using IoT, AI, and autonomous vehicles. Let's begin your journey with me today.
Good day, this is Patrick Slavenburg with a special edition of the IoT show. And as a special guest today we have Hani Khalaf, BDM for IoT and digital cities for Dell in the Middle East, Turkey and Africa. And he's going to tell us a lot about what's going on in that region, the special use case for IoT, the trends in industry, and all sorts of other cool stuff. Okay, so Hani, welcome here.
Thank you, Patrick. Good to be talking to you.
So let's get started. And first, I always love to hear why people get involved in whatever it is they're doing. So if you could tell a little bit about what made you passionate about IoT or digitization in general, and what motivates and what drives you.
Sure. So it started around 7 or 8 years ago when I was at Cisco at that time, and they just initiated the IoT business unit. So, we became part of it. We moved from the emerging technology group into that, and we started talking IoT. And the passion for me for IoT comes from being a tool for digital transformation. So every business on earth today is going through a digital transformation. Because every business knows if it doesn't disrupt itself, somebody else will come and disrupt it. And IoT is the fundamental tool for digital transformation. It is a tool that can allow the business to get insights, real-time insights into the business. The collection of data, the visualization, the automation, and nowadays they talk about AI and the use of data into things which we have never thought about, is really, really exciting to me. I wake up every day and I really think, there's no 2 days like the other. Every customer discussion is different. So that always keeps the excitement going.
Okay, so you're feeling you're kind of slowly building toward that Star Trek future, and
In a way, yes. In a way, yes. Actually, sometimes I get these Star Trek kind of requests from customers, and I to bring them back to Earth, to reality, to start from the beginning and then just build slowly, towards where they want to go.
Yeah, because it probably starts with the fact that if it's a brownfield installation, that they won't be able to get the data out of any sort of machine or piece of equipment or sensor that wasn't built for IoT, I imagine. So going back to Earth is probably like, how do we even deal with the problem of connecting things and letting data flow as a type of electricity or energy between them, right? Or is it something else that you encounter that's a typical challenge?
Yeah, well, no, it's like you said, Patrick, it's really, it starts with connecting things, and that's what people get out of this. But in my line of work and throughout the years, I learned to focus on outcome-based. I take an outcome-based approach to IoT, and I find this very successful for us as a company and for our customers, because, when I talk to business people, and it's all about what do you want to do with this technology? We don't do technology for the sake of technology. What do you want to do? Do you want to lower your operating expenses, in a factory by 5%? Or do you want to track your fleet for security? What is the thing that you are trying to do? And we really go into lots of detail with customers to do this. For example, in one of the customers in Saudi Arabia, where energy is becoming a very hot topic, energy management and optimization, we went into the details of getting the electricity bills over the last 3 years, the water bills, because we really want to calculate if the customer, invests X solution and we are saving them Y, Y has to be much higher than X in order for the IOI to be meaningful.
Exactly.
Energy for example, solution has to be over 3 to 5 years. That's acceptable. If it's more than that, we can simply tell the customer, look, there is no case for your IoT.
So what are typical the best use cases at this moment in IoT, and do you see a difference between regions? You're responsible for Turkey, Dubai, you're located in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Africa. Is there a regional difference, or is it kind of similar?
Yeah, in the Gulf area, basically there's two cases which are really the biggest. One is, like I said, energy management, because energy costs are going on the rise. So in UAE, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, even in Turkey, everybody's looking at energy management and optimization. And sometimes this comes into the context of a smart building, but really the focus is really on the energy. This is the thing that gets the ROI going faster, other than the bells and whistles of a smart building. The other solution is fleet management. Everybody is interested in tracking their fleet. Dubai and the UAE are ahead of the curve in this. They started almost 15 years ago. Almost every fleet in Dubai here or in the UAE is being tracked, and with very advanced use cases like driver behavior, utilization of the fleet. Some interesting cases, for example, for some oil and gas companies where they want to compare the load when they put the oil in the tanker at the beginning, and then the oil at the end point, because they are seeing some discrepancy. And these are sometimes very simple things like putting a sensor on the on the tank, on the truck itself, so that you can tell if it was stopped in the middle or the hatchet has opened or not. These are really the best thing. There's lots of interest in data recently in the region, and even Dubai issued a data law, which governs the exchange of data between entities. And that's very, very interesting and really advanced. And another trend that also we're seeing a lot in the region is smart cities or digital cities. So many cities here have embarked on a journey. I call it a journey because really it is a journey. It's not like a short thing. In becoming digital cities. And different cities take different approaches to this. We're trying to guide people to the concept of, you need to start with a master plan for your city, because this engagement is really big. And, I like the saying, I think by Benjamin Franklin, he says, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And this absolutely applies to digital cities, because if you don't plan properly what services are relevant to your citizen, you are just doing, nice scientific projects, proof of concepts, which do not go anywhere.
So tell me a little bit more about the data law that you mentioned, because, when you mention data law, probably a lot of people are going to think about something like the GDPR. And from what I understood from you, it's a slightly different beast, slightly different animal.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that.
Sure. So data law is actually an innovative initiative by the government here in Dubai, where they know that there's lots of data, which is, stored everywhere by government agencies, everywhere. And what they decided that instead of leaving it to the agencies to determine what data can be exposed, whether to the public or to other entities within the government, they decided to put some governance around this and just create a law that says this kind of data is public. This kind of data can be exchanged between government entities only, and and some data, of course, cannot be exchanged. And if you go to any government portal today in Dubai, you will find a data portal. You'll find like a section in the website which exposes data from that agency to the public. And the reason for this is Dubai realized that by exposing this data, innovative people can come in and use this data in a way which nobody thought of, earlier. I know a nice use case which was done not in Dubai, but based on the same principle in another country, where the government exposed the data about dengue virus, which is available from Ministry of Health. Some startup built an application which predicted where is the next outbreak of dengue virus in that country, just by using the data which is available. And if you think about it, government agencies might not have the agility to develop these innovative applications quickly. So by exposing this data, you are really igniting the innovation in the country and allowing people to think out of the box and come up with something new.
So it's kind of similar to the open data initiatives that you see other regions in the world, or let's say in the West and in America, taking place.
Exactly.
But then formatted in a law somehow as well.
Exactly. Yes, to make it very formal, and so that any government agencies or entity can feel comfortable to share data as per the law, without having these. Because if you think about it, many projects can be crippled because of this lack of data exchange. Right. So this actually, as a citizen of Dubai, I love this because this really makes my life easier. Yeah. I can tell you a example. When I first moved here and I wanted to connect electricity utility to my house, it was as simple as going into a portal, putting my information, everything was there, paying a fee, just like a deposit, and then SMS saying in 24 hours the electricity will be connected. And in fact, after 24 hours, electricity just came into the house without me going to any government agency. There's a big focus here in Dubai on happiness, and a happy citizen. And, so happiness is really the factor with which every government agency is measured.
So there is a happiness index. I haven't looked it up, but has there been a noticeable change in ranking? If Dubai is on it, or the UAE?
Yes, actually, if I remember right, I saw a study the other day, one of the studies, it ranked Dubai, I think, among the 10 happiest cities in the world. And actually, interestingly, the customer support centers of every agency, they were all renamed to a customer happiness center. They are called. Because,
you feel it's more than just a name. It's more than just words. There is a
no. It is absolutely. It is absolutely you. From the moment you walk in, the reception, the way they talk to you. It's really there is a willingness to really get you what you are looking for. They make it so that you can achieve what you are looking for.
And all this you just mentioned, or you just described, is pertains to the UAE, right, or to Dubai?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you see differences, if you could articulate them, or if you feel free to articulate them, with, let's say, other countries in the Middle East, or possibly Turkey, or in Africa? Do you see contrast there?
Well, actually, I can talk to you about Saudi Arabia, for example. So Saudi Arabia also has a program, a very ambitious program called Vision 2030, which is to transform the country into, a different country, basically, in 11 years from now. Mm-hmm. And digital transformation is a big part of this, because the government realized that digital or technology is a big transformation factor. And we're seeing now this from the requests that we're getting from Saudi Arabia to digitize. So for example, we're seeing lots of universities now focus on energy management and the need to lower operational expenses. I sometimes joke about this. A few years back, I met a customer and I was talking about energy management. And the customer just told me, you know what, you can skip that part because we're not interested to hear about it. Now, every customer almost, the energy management is on the agenda when it comes to discussion.
Funny. So talking about opportunities, I imagine there's opportunities in the data law and the data sets that have been made available. But
yes,
you kind of alluded to it with epidemic. Energy management is one, but I imagine every technology company is jumping on that one. And the question, of course, is how many different energy management meters and tools and algorithms can you have before the market is saturated? So do you still feel that a startup could come up with a new energy management method that is incrementally better than Dell's or GE's or Siemens or whoever is around there?
Yeah. So energy management by itself, I mean, it's still version in this area, and I would say it's new, and there's lots of opportunities still. We really have not scratched the surface of this business in the region because, like I said, the energy cost just went up 2 years ago, and now customers are starting to feel the pain and starting to do something about it. We're seeing a trend where governments and most utilities are forming ESCOs, which are the energy saving companies. So we're seeing this in UAE, we've seen this in Saudi Arabia, even in Qatar. So this is a trend now. And the model is very similar, which is, going to an entity, offering to save energy and then sharing the savings over 5 years between the ESCO and the end customer, and then after that letting the customer run on their own. In Saudi Arabia, there's a big push for solar now that even the utility launched a solar program to equip houses with solar energy. So we're seeing a big push for energy, and I think the opportunity is still huge in that area. Another area which I think is of interest is the video surveillance. So video surveillance, the typical video surveillance, about cameras, just collecting data, etc. Now with the advent of computer vision and the advances of computer surveillance, especially in Saudi Arabia, I see a huge opportunity there, especially after the government will issue laws to govern data, video surveillance, just like UAE have done years back and Qatar have done years back.
That's interesting. Yeah. Going back to I would love to ask more about video surveillance as well, but might not have the time for that. So maybe a separate talk. The energy management, the outcome based, so split the difference in savings. It still requires quite an upfront investment because you're probably going to have to install new sensors. I seriously doubt all the legacy systems are going to be up to the level that you need them to be to really save some energy. And so again, if you start up, you might have 50K in angel funding or whatever. How are you gonna enter that market unless you're part of a big conglomerate?
Yes. Well, there's different models. I mean, there's the model where some companies, and actually one of our partners in Dubai is doing this. So it is a big conglomerate. They have financing capabilities, so they can go to a customer and say, you pay 0 upfront costs. We will do all the costs. We will guarantee between 15 and 20% savings. These savings will be, I believe, 70% for that entity and for the company, and 30% for the customer over the first 5 years, and then 100% savings for the customer after 5 years. That's one model. In some models, the customer is willing to go actually with a capex, with a capex model, invest in, in the, like you said, the sensors, the collection of data, the connection to the building management system. Because there is a case, we can prove that this investment, which is over 5 years, with the savings over 5 years, makes sense. So the two models are present. And interestingly, it's done by the public sector, like this company that, that is financing these solutions. And it is done by governments, because the government realizes that, generating more energy and investing big generation plants, which cost billions of dollars, is too big. It's better to go and try to save the energy, on the existing, buildings and, customers than investing in capex, So in a way, it's a win-win for both.
Okay, so final question. Where do you still see challenges? We talked a lot, and I always love to talk a lot more about opportunities and benefits,
Yes.
and looking at the downside of things. So it may not be the best thing to end with with a negative, but let's say, where do you see challenges, and where are you optimistic within these challenges that they will be overcome quickly, and which ones do you think it will take a while?
Sure. So I like, the word challenges. They're not really problems. They're part of it. And I always like to mention them to my customers. And the reason is, I don't want them to think that this is rosy. You come in, install a system, you press some buttons, and everything is there. So the challenges we see really in the region are mainly the business case or the outcome. What is the customer trying to achieve out of this? And if there is no outcome or there is no business case, there is no project, So we spend a lot of time in building the business case. Another challenge we see is really the stakeholder alignment. Typically these projects, they span in the customer many departments, from business, from IT, from CIO, CEO, CFO. And it's really important to get all these entities or stakeholders aligned to do it. One of the challenges also we see is security. So many customers want to do it, want to start collecting data, they want to, deploy infrastructure, but because it is outside their data center, they are worried about security. So again, we are giving them this kind of comfort and the tools, which are different from a typical IT system to secure an IoT network, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It also is something that people typically don't think about. We also bring it to their attention that you have to think of manageability from day one. I see these are the biggest challenges that you see usually in the region. The IoT to me is a mindset in a business, just like digital transformation. It is the willingness to try things which have not been tried before, accepting to fail, get up, try again, fail, and get up again until you get it right. And I always tell customers, what you will end up with is probably something that you did not think of at the beginning.
I have a million more questions, but I couldn't wish for a better ending than this sort of motivational speech that you just gave, which I totally love and which I totally agree with. So thanks so much, Hani, for this for this interview and for taking the time to explain us what's going on in the area that you are active in.
Thank you very much, Patrick, and I wish everybody a happy IoT day.
Happy IoT Day as well.
Thank you.